Hi guys, I'm Phil Town from Rule One Investing, and today I'm going to discuss with you the need to reevaluate your investments and when you should do it. Rule One Investing is based on long-term investing style, right? That's us. We're out there ideally to buy something and hold it forever. And that's how you can allow your earning to build up over time, because it really is benefiting from the effects of the math of compounding interest. So if we can buy a company like an Apple and it's taking my equity and building it at 25% a year, ultimately the stock price reflects that, or they start paying interest down the road. And that's how, can you imagine 25% a year for 10 years means that my $100,000 in Apple becomes $200,000 inside of about 3 years. In 6 years, it's $400,000. In 9 years, it's $800,000. And by the end of that 10th year, my $100,000 has become almost $1 million, just compounding Apple at a 25% return on equity growth rate, which ultimately is reflected in the stock price. So this is pretty cool stuff. In fact, Warren Buffett says that an ideal investment is one you do hold forever. You just grow your money as long as you can own it. But even Buffett and many other successful investors know that there are times when you should look into whether or not it's still good. And Warren sells a lot of companies. You should just be aware of that. We all do. Now, why would we sell a good investment, right? So let's take a look at a few indicators that signal when you need to reevaluate that investment and maybe it's time to get out. So the first thing is we build a story around the investment. This is something that Julian Robertson taught all of his hedge fund cubs at Tiger Management, which is this phenomenal hedge fund that he was running for many years, compounding money at 34% a year. And he found that one of the best ways to keep track of this question of when you should sell, when you should reevaluate, is to have a story that you build around that investment. And we have stories. I've got a storybook right here. Hang on. Here's an example off my shelf of a story on a stock that shall remain nameless because we still want to buy more of it. But this is the book, and it's packed with data that we've accumulated while we're doing research on this company. And so we create this story and we summarize the story. We summarize it into basically 5 or 6 steps. We always want to know how this stock came about, into our what we call our radar. And then we want to make sure we still understand the company. So understanding the business is the core of the story. And that's where we look at what is the relationship of this company and its industry. We call that the meaning of the company. What's the moat, right? This is the durable competitive advantage of the company. What is the management team? Are they on our side? And finally, what's the value of this business long term? And where would we be willing to buy it at? So if this story changes, then this is time for us to seriously reevaluate the company. And that's why we track every company we own at a minimum on a quarterly basis. We're watching the news for what's going on in these companies, just as you would if you owned a business downtown, you own a laundromat downtown. You're going to be paying attention to that, even if you got somebody else managing it. So that's what we do. We keep track of our businesses. And when we see that there's a change in the story, then we may want to buy more of it, or we may decide to reevaluate that investment and sell it. Okay. Now, there are some other times when just things trigger a reevaluation. One is when we get an economic downturn and companies and everything starts going downhill really fast. That is, the revenue streams, not just the stock price. The revenue stream, the earnings of the company are all shrinking in every company in a major economic downturn. Do we still have the same company we thought we had? Or do we discover that it's been swimming naked, in Warren Buffett's terms, right? When the tide goes out, you get to see you swimming naked. Is our company looking like it's swimming naked all of a sudden? We made a mistake on evaluating how solid this moat is. And now, wow, they're starting to compete on price and they're starting to lose money. We may hopefully discover that before the tide goes out, but in case we don't, that's when we're going to really reevaluate the business. Now, the next time, the next one that is a good place for reevaluation is when we get a new CEO. A new CEO could be a red flag. Like, why is the old CEO leaving is a big question. Obviously, if it happens suddenly, sometimes they won't talk about it. Maybe the CEO got Me Too'd and they don't want to say anything. Maybe they got sick. Maybe it's, like Steve Jobs got sick and they don't want to say anything, right? Because it's very private, but it's walking on thin ice to not say anything. So we really see that as a red flag, and we want to know it's going to be okay. When Chipotle, I was buying Chipotle after the E. coli scare, and the chairman of the board and the CEO was the founder, and he decided to bring in a new CEO. He brought in the guy that had rebuilt Taco Bell. And I was like, yes, this is a great guy with great skill sets that's perfect for Chipotle. So red flag, look into it, and then make a decision. In that case, buy more, right? Now, there can be a shift in the industry. If we happen to own a typewriter company in 1980 and it's been a great company for a long, long time, right? Decades, fabulous company, and I'm not paying any attention to the fact that a computer is coming out, that could be a problem. To put it in today's terms, if I own a car company and I'm not paying attention to Tesla and an electric car, I really am asleep at the switch. Okay, so there's going to be a shift in the industry. It's coming. Usually they come really slowly. So slowly, sometimes it lulls us into complacency. We stay with these companies for too long, which is why this story is so important. If we see the moat starting to be bridged by an entirely different technology, it might be time to get out of that business. The company price got to intrinsic value. Oh, that's a big one, right? And we love that one because we bought it at 50% below intrinsic value. Now the price has doubled since we've owned it. So we've already made a huge amount of money. And sometimes that happens in 9 months. Sometimes it happens in recently. It happened on one company we bought a couple of months ago, and it tripled inside of 60 days. So it can happen really fast. But that company didn't get anywhere near its intrinsic value. We bought it so cheap. I don't think it'll be intrinsic value until it doubles again. After tripling, it needs to double again, maybe more. So we look at this and we say, wow, is this near its intrinsic value? If so, then from that point on, it's only going to grow at the speed of the company's growth, which is probably not going to be anywhere near 26% per year. Might be 4% a year, 8% a year, which is way below our required rate of growth. So we're going to want to keep our money velocity high. The company has reached its intrinsic value. What we typically do is we'll do a little bit of an options trade right there and maybe try to sell it at 20% above intrinsic value by selling an option. So in any case, it's a red flag and we're ready to reevaluate. And finally, something happened with your life, right? You've got a baby, your kid has an incredible opportunity to go to a great college and you got to come up with some money. You've got a new job. You're worried about your old job. Maybe you're coming up near retirement. Then it's always time to evaluate what your situation is with these companies. If a company, let's combine a couple of these, a company is getting near its intrinsic value and you're nearing retirement, and you're seeing the economy start to downturn, maybe it's time to get out maybe a little earlier than you thought you might in order to preserve that high rate of return and make sure you got the money for retirement. So these are all really good times to reevaluate. All right, now I'd like to hear from you guys. When was the last time you actually reevaluated your investments and what changes did you make? So leave a comment below with your question and I'll be sure to follow up with you guys. And thanks for watching. Time to go play. If you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about when to reevaluate your investments, well, just hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen for a free gift. It's awesome. And thanks again for watching.